Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm the Enjoyable Egg, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Gun Lake Quarries.
Moving through these Central West episodes, I have now brought you to Orange, New South Wales, where you're about to see a country barn and inside a wonderful collection. In this week's episode of Classic Restos, On the Road.
Leave Sydney at 5 p.m, enjoy Orange by 8:30 p.m, and that's an approximate time to plan your escape. If a road trip is in mind, Orange is a perfect destination all year round. Typical Central West countryside awaits you, encapsulating food, wine, recreation, history, culture, and the sights. Car clubs and rally runs soak up the kilometres on country roads that provide that perfect serenity. Out here in Orange, drive, relax and take your time. Orange 360 encompasses everything that colours the region all year round. Create your own adventure, your memorable family holiday, your romantic escape, or your extended weekend with friends. Acquaint yourself with the New South Wales Central West. You'll be back, I can assure you. This is what it's all about. A 20-acre property, 20 minutes out of town, and home to Dean and Hayley. An old-style farm feel grabs you as soon as you walk through the gate and up the driveway. A beautiful heritage-style home built around 1900, lots of rustic charm brought about by corrugated iron. Kind of reminds me of my grandparents' place built in 1930. It's a breath of fresh air discovering these places, away from the traffic lights, the hustle and the bustle. When Dean and Hayley bought this property, just the house was standing. Everything else, you see, has been built by these two, using Australiana materials, putting us back into the 1940s, and you wouldn't know the difference. How could you not love this? An ambience and a feel you could never tire of. Here is more of their story.
This place has been coming along little bit by little bit. As we find a piece that's given to us and donated or found by the side of the road, we add to it. It keeps us out of the cold weather in the wintertime and keeps us cool in summertime. It should look like it's been here all its time, but it's been around for about 10, 12 years. Inspiration on building this little hideaway out the back, probably to get the vehicles out of the frost. We get some pretty heavy frosts at winter time, so yeah, once you take a car and start to look after it a bit, you don't like to just park it out underneath the gum tree. So yeah, I figured, well, if we're going to put a shed together, we put it together so a few things will fit in here. But the old adage says that you only build a shed once, but build it 3 times as big as it has to be. Otherwise you'll run out of room. And it's true, you do run out of room. Especially me, because I can't say no to a gift horse. People come in here and go, oh gee, your dad must have had a great shed. Your grandfather must have had the shed and this is what you've built it all around. And I say, no, not really. My dad, he was a farmer. He used to fix up the machines that as they required fixing, and his shed was a toolbox on the back of the truck. And really our shed at back home was empty, bare, had a few farm trucks in it and a tractor and a few chooks laying eggs, and it was nothing like this. It wasn't a clutter at all. Thinking about this earlier on, and a lot of the time it's just the place I get and fix up stuff or pull stuff apart or degrease something or like. And not very often you stop and think what it's all about, but it's a real little treasure to have, which I guess only comes true when people walk in the door. And you know, we might have mates from the city, and they come, oh, can we? First thing they do is come and have a look at the shed rather than go and have a cup of tea at home. See what's happening in the shed, and it's when you get feedback from people like that, and they begin to see what you've got going on in here, and they go, oh, you're really lucky to have this space. And where did you get all this stuff? You must have spent thousands on this. No, it's not thousands. It's just being patient and filling up little hollows and that. It's an easy spot to be in. It's a relaxed spot to be in. You can just unwind. Anybody, you know, hear a truck coming or a car coming down the road, oh, we've got a visitor, open up the front doors, and yeah, you can spend a few hours in here just having a yarn and just relaxing, getting away from it. If you came into my shed and had a look around, it all depends what sort of person you are. Sometimes you'd come in and go, okay, I've had enough of this, it's all crowding in on me. Or people disappear off into a corner and you find themselves having a good hard look and wondering, what's that? Where did that come from? How on earth did you come by one of them? I've never seen one of them and probably never will again. How do you fill this sort of space? It's just I won't say it's a clutter, but little things are just either, I spend a bit of time out in the bush, I'm on the road a lot with my work and that sort of thing, always talking to farmers, old fellas across the fence sort of thing, and tell them about my passions and my interest for local history and Australian history and all that sort of stuff. I've got a little bit of knowledge about that sort of stuff too. And over a cup of tea, they'll go, oh, look, why don't you go down and have a look down the creek? We've got an old tip down there. And it's surprising how much of this comes from out of old creeks or, you know, people have had behind a shed or bits and pieces like that. It's not a conscious thing that you're gathering stuff like a hoarder. It's just finding something going, yeah, that sort of thing is going to find a little spot up in the shed. I reckon it's a spot that everybody should be lucky enough to have, or at least give it a go. And I think, to me, it's just a great spot to get away. I really, really enjoy it. Really lucky to have it, and lucky to have people around me that enjoy the spot as well.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Hare and Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range. As you may know, I like my motels, and I've just discovered the Oriana Motel here in Orange, New South Wales. This place is awesome. It's retro styled, some of the rooms are themed, and it's very cool for bike clubs, car clubs, or if you're travelling on your own with your classic, and here is why.
In my opinion, you cannot beat having your pride and joy right outside your front door and not half a K away. The Oriana was built back in the mid-1960s and named after the Oriana cruise ship. 49 rooms of comfort, and the suites upstairs, well, they're extra special. And when it comes night time, there's no need to leave. You can rest easy in the plush Bella Vista cocktail bar. And the Peacock Room hosts a luxurious 70-seat restaurant featuring classic European dining with a modern twist. In the warm weather, enjoy the pool club and garden dining. Get your swim in and enjoy the pool bar. So keep it in mind, the Oriana Orange, New South Wales, the exclusive retro hotel and resort. See more at orianaorange.com.
Yeah, so what do I think of the shed? I think it's great. It's a fun spot to be. We all get out here, the whole family gets out here. Dean's out here more often than the rest of us. I also craft, so I'm in the craft room and Dean's out here, but a lot of time we're out here all as a family. When we're doing up cars, we even have our tea out here. So we bring the dinner out and sit and have tea and get back into the project. So it's always something happening, and it's just a really good spot to be. Has a good feel about it, and yeah, we really enjoy it. So when the shed got built, it was just really going to be a car shed, somewhere to put the cars out of the frost. But then, yeah, parts and bits and extras started coming in. We ended up having to extend, put another skillion on for work bay, so it grew and grew. But it's great. It's just ever evolving. There's always something that comes home, gets added to the collection. Yeah, it's a fun time. So the combi's been with us here about 5 years. It come off my dad's property originally, and yeah, just sat out there for a long time in the weather, in the dry. So it was as it is, and we've just got it back on the road and enjoyed just driving it. Lots of people wonder if we trailer it here or there or what's special about it, but it's there to be driven with, it's there to be enjoyed, and yeah, we love it. We love the shed, and it's lots of fun.
This is amazing. And look, before we start talking about the beautiful Holden behind us, what you've done here, as we alluded to earlier, you know, it could have been done back in the 40s. I can't believe this is just a bit over 10 years old.
Yeah, well, it could have been here in the 40s, could have been here in the 20s too. Yeah, most of the stuff in here was definitely around in the 40s. Yeah.
This is what it's all about with Classic Restos, getting out and finding these people in the country and the way that they're set up with their barns, with their sheds. Unbelievable what you've done in here. Now behind us, the 1954 Holden. What a good old girl. What's the story there, Dean?
From a long time ago, I was always into old Holdens, and suddenly realised what an FJ Holden was, and I was the sort of kid that drew it on their school books and all those sort of things. Had a couple of old wrecks that I figured I could do up, and way beyond me doing them up as a teenager. And one day got a call from a fella in my hometown, and he said, the local Holden dealer has got an old FJ Holden in his shed. I reckon if you went down there this weekend and told him you'd have it out of his shed, I reckon he's at the point he wants to get rid of it. So we went down there, said, can we have a look at your Holden? And he was keen to get rid of it. So
who is this bloke? I mean, does he have any more?
No, he did one of those accursed things of cleaning your shed out, and he always tells me he should have never done it. So for not too much money, we went down there with a car trailer, and the thing was, there was an old Holden, old FJ in the shed, but it came in about 50 boxes. There wasn't two nuts and bolts that belonged together, still together.
Heard that story before.
Yep, so took it home, and of course still a young fella, nowhere to really park it, to put it away. It ended up out at my uncle's place for probably 10 years, until we got a bit of space here. We began to put it back together, and it sat here for probably another 7 years.
So back in the 50s, just a local town car?
Back in the 50s, it originally started, I like chasing up the provenance of old things, and this shoot, it originally started in Manila, and it was a farmer's car in Manila, but it was not a farm ute. It seemed like it had been parked in a shed all its time. It had been looked after.
I love the signage, you know, like the phone number 52 on the bonnet. And how cool is that? You know, yeah, just give us a call, 52. And on the back, at first glance, the old golden fleece. Well, that's pretty captive what you've done there.
Yeah, it catches a few people out. A lot of people come to me at car shows and they go, where did you find this? Where would you get an old golden fleece ute from in its original livery?
Yeah, but tell us what it does say.
On the back, if you look closely, it says Holden Grease. It's not golden fleece. I'm not trying to fool anyone with an original paint job here, Fletch.
I think it's fantastic to have the Australiana barn. You've got the 1954 Holden there. I mean, that's like a hand in a glove. It really is. I also love what you've done up on the wall there. That poor old girl there, I guess that had some stories to tell once upon a time.
Yeah, that's one of those $50 utes that you go out on a weekend and pick up because the fella wants it out of his way. And we basically bought that for the heart transplant for the old FJ here. Yep. And what was left and hadn't rusted onto the ground, we cut both sides off and turned into a wall hanging. I tell people that I just wanted to hang the hubcap on the wall and couldn't get it off the wheel, so...
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Does your current insurer understand your passion? At Shannons, we're motoring enthusiasts, just like you. We understand the passion you have for your special car or bike. But did you know that Shannons will also insure your daily drive, the car you drive every day? So if you're a motoring enthusiast, you've got to be with Shannons. So call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Own a classic? It just has to be insured with Shannons. Perhaps you're after some laid-up insurance cover, or for your tools or memorabilia. Why not give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646? And keep in mind the Shannons Club is awaiting you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Now, how are you, Dean?
Oh, still going well. A little bit chilly, but still going well.
And returning to us complete with town hat.
I'm dressed up now. Yep. Yeah, you didn't like my slouch look, so today I'm dressed up. Well, now I'm dressed up.
Definitely gone all out. Now, before we go any further, we have to give a special thanks for this episode to Joe Hemming. Now, Joe is in the Parks and Forbes area and is the Regional Development Officer for Shannons. And Joe, well, she was good enough to line up this guy and his lovely wife, Hayley, for today. And, of course, Shannons does a great job around the area with car shows too, Dean.
Yep. Always see the Shannons rep there, and they know what they're talking about too, which makes a nice change.
And that's nice to say out here in the sticks.
That's right, yep. You try to catch them out occasionally, but most of them are car fellas.
Very, very good. Which now takes us to the HQ behind us. Now, this car here, it's a daily driver. You've had it a long time. It's a 1973 model, a Wagon, obviously. Wagons, wow, they've come into their own, haven't they?
Yeah, Wagons were sort of the forgotten child. They were the family car, or the long roofs, as they're almost trendily called these days. The Wagons are certainly coming into their own.
Now, the car itself, what's it like? Has it been a good car?
Very good car. I'm a HQ person. So, notwithstanding, it's put up with all conditions, a bit of dirt road. It travels out west, well out west. And it's designed for Australian conditions. It sounds like a Holden plug, doesn't it?
It does. It's a testament to our Australian manufacturing that, we don't have that anymore in that anywhere near that level. But it's nice that we have some remnants of the past, and we're hanging on to these products like grim death now, aren't we?
No, that's all right. And if you keep them serviced, and you've got a swathe of parts in your collection, no reason that you can't.
How's the old 202 up front? That been pretty trusty over the years?
Yep, this is the cruising version. So 202 really doesn't need a whole lot of work. Power steering makes it very comfortable, and 3 on the tree, so you don't have to think about driving.
What an Australian combination. You got the 202, mate, 3 on the tree, got a bit of power steering going on. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, I'd say we're well up there in the luxury stakes.
These were the cars that went all over the countryside. It was our Falcons, our Holdens and our Valiants, our station wagons. The kids, the family would pile in, sometimes with a boat on the back or a caravan. Dirt roads for days on end. These cars, this is what they endured. They weren't four-wheel drives.
No, they were built tough, and they were built for the job. And the number of people that are in their 60s these days who come along and they hop in and go, this reminds me of going down the coast in the holiday, the smell, the feel of hot vinyl, but they hold their own. We're not a red light to green light traffic racer. We're living out here, so our trip to go see family is a 3-hour drive.
And the beautiful thing too is that in this day and age, if we are out on a run or away from home, a long way away from home, if something does happen to the car, the average mechanic, if it's a little bit beyond you, you'll be out of trouble in the next town.
Yep, that's right. And we've got a toolkit in the back that fits into the pouch and a fan belt. We're right to go anywhere.
Pretty cool story about this trusty Kingswood behind me. It was actually a sales rep's car for Schweppes, and it spent time on the road from 1973 through until 1988 by the same driver. Can you believe a sales rep kept a car for that long? You might have noticed it's got a Premier front clip on it. Well, you're quite right. And the original clip, just with a single headlight each side, is hanging up behind me on the wall. Apparently the car in its life also never had a passenger. Well, it was a sales rep's car for Schweppes, so I guess the only person ever did take around was Pop.
Hello, my name is Tess, and the thing I really like about the Mum and Dad shed is probably the cars, all the stuff that's in the shed. There's plenty of stuff in here. Yeah, lots of stuff, trophies, cars, lawnmowers on the wall, and more cars, half a car on the wall, a couple more cars. Dad, he usually asks me about help him on the cars, or pass him something, or just tells me about the cars and how to fix them and repair them, and I think that's all. He usually just asks me questions, say, what's this, what's this, what's this? Well, I think I'm very lucky since I'm only 9 and Mum and Dad have this nice big shed with all these cars, and it's very nice to just drive in them and go to nationals and car shows with them. I'm glad I have this shed, and thank you for Fletch for coming out, and I'm glad I have this place.
Yeah. The bike over my right shoulder is one of those pieces that if you collect enough bits and pieces, it falls together and becomes something. This one here is about a 1934 Royal Enfield. Back in around the Depression era, when things were a little bit tight, they were saving a bit of money by cutting a few corners. So things like the pressed metal front end on it makes it a very rickety bike, I guess, but in the day it was all about making the economy work, I guess. This bike here came from a sum of its parts well out west again. We had a frame, we had a tank, we had a motor and a bit of exhaust pipe. And if you wait long enough and wander around enough swap meets, slowly pieces will come to you bit by bit, and this is just one of those cases. Sometimes old bikes come to you in boxes of pieces. This one came from about a 2-acre scatterage across a paddock, a dusty paddock at that, and there were bits under bushes, and surprisingly no sand or dirt in the motor, and it turned over as clean as a whistle, so someone was looking out for it. Had a lot of uses, like a lot of early bikes did. It originally came from nearby town and a dirt road, 50 k's of dirt road. The guy I got it off said no good in the sand, but it also did its fair share of mustering cattle out in the bush as well. It's not a huge power machine by any means. It's a long stroke 350cc motorbike with a separate gearbox in the way they used to make it. So it had a primary and secondary drive, rigid back end, so the sprung seat did all the suspension for you, and absolutely rudimentary front end suspension as well. Bare basics in technology. Yeah, that's the original back muffler. Yeah, it was full of red sand, and but the good thing about out west is things might get hot, but they don't rust that quick. So it's one of those cases of dust is better than rust. After we did a bit of hunting around, we had quite a variety of parts, and we realised how many parts of those were actually original. And one of the joys of the internet, we found a few photos of what an original one looks like, started bolting things to it, like the toolbox on this side with the little lock on it, battery cradle on the other side, and also the tank, which we pulled out of underneath a few sheets of tin. It was brown to look at, and brought it home and gave it a bit of a rub and a clean, and yeah, the old nickel plating came up once again bright, and you can almost see Royal Enfield written on the side still. Went to a car show just recently, threw this on the back of the FJ, and always had a crowd around it talking about it. And a few of those guys sort of got me enthused again. So yeah, within the next couple of years, we'll get a pop into that exhaust pipe again. Fletch took a whole lot of interest into this, so he must be into his old stuff. So thanks very much, Fletch. You're pushing trying to push it along a little bit for us as well. Thanks very much.
Well, how cool was that? I hope you've really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos, filmed in Orange, New South Wales, featuring the magnificent country shed belonging to Dean, Hayley, Tess and Digi the dog. On next week's show, I'll be taking you to Dubbo, New South Wales. And until then, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm, the enjoyable egg. Hare and Forbes Machinery House. And Gun Lake Quarries.